Hey there, this is Andy from Loves to Travel. I'm here with another cooking video. I know you guys have been wanting to see me again. Today, I've delved into the world of slow cookers, and today we're going to be making a chili-based slow cooker recipe using ground beef. Alright, so first off, let's go through the list of ingredients we have. I have about a pound of ground beef. You can use ground turkey if you want instead. I have 1 head of garlic. I'm probably going to use about 6 or 7 cloves of this. 2 small yellow onions or 1 big yellow onion. I have 3 small tomatoes. You could also use 2 big tomatoes if you want. I have 4 cups of chicken broth. We might not use all of this. We'll have to see how it all fits in the pot. 2 cans of tomato sauce. 2 cans of kidney beans. A can of tomato paste. We probably won't use all of this either. And chili powder for the seasoning, as well as standard salt and pepper, and we'll use these to taste. So first things first, I'm going to prep our onions, and we're going to dice these because we're going to be using these as flavor for the most part. All right, let's start. I'm going to cut this in half. Cut partial way through, most of the way through, but not all the way through, like this. And I'm going to do the same thing with lines like this. We're cutting most of the way through here, not all the way through, most of the way. Be careful of your hands here. Then we can cut all the way through here, and you get these nice diced onions very easily. And when it gets to this little bit, you can turn it like this and cut it this way. And turn it like this and cut these through. Do the same for the rest of our onion. These also don't have to be perfectly cut. They can only be roughly diced, since they're going to be reduced pretty significantly anyways as we cook them. All right, onions done. Put them off to the side for now. The reason my cutting board doesn't move is I have these under it. This is very important. You can also use a wet paper towel. You don't want the cutting board moving as you're cutting, or else you have a good chance of injuring yourself on accident. I'm gonna wash this off real quick. We'll cut the next thing. So next up, let's prepare our garlic. So we don't exactly need to cut this up. If you have one of these, this is a garlic mincer. If you don't have it, you can cut it up with a knife yourself. I'm gonna use about 6 cloves of this. Maybe 7 if the cloves are kind of small like this. Two. This is 2 cloves, but it's stuck together. We'll have to separate them before we actually put them through that. 5, 6. We'll use 7 in this case. This is to taste. If you don't like garlic that much, you can add less or not at all even. If you like more, you can add a whole head. Why not? Up to you. So I'm going to make sure that this is separated first. All right. So first things first, if you've never peeled garlic before, it's way easier if you smash it like this. And then you can peel off this exterior. We don't want any of that. We're going to do that for every piece of our garlic. You don't have to crush it too hard. Like this is probably crushing it too much. While crushing it around this much is probably ideal. So we'll remove all the skin on all of these. You can also cut off the ends, as we don't want that either. It'll make it slightly easier to peel at the same time. I say that as I'm struggling to peel this one. There we go. Sometimes if you crush it too much, it can get kind of sticky and hard to peel, and that's when this happens, which is why you don't want to crush it too much to release too much of the inside until after you get this off. I'm struggling. There we go. Do the same for the rest. I'm just going to preemptively chop all the ends off. Be a little more efficient about this. Toss these. And this one's peeled. This one's peeled. This one's already mostly peeled. Yep. There we go. There we go. Our garlic is all peeled. So as an example of how you would mince this if you didn't have one of the garlic mincers, is you would just run your knife through it as finely as you possibly can like this, and just run it through all your garlic over and over until it becomes like a nice, fine, little chunky consistency, like this. You want it like kind of like that. However, if you have one of these, you can just pop in a few at a time and crush it down like this. And it comes out to a more fine texture that'll help get the flavors out a little bit better. You should get every bit of garlic you can if you want. Don't want to waste any. And that is our garlic done. We'll move on to the tomatoes in a second. Right. Smell-o-vision doesn't exist yet, but it's pretty garlicky in here. My mom behind the camera is coughing a little bit. So next up, we're gonna dice up our tomatoes. This doesn't have to be too precise. We can make this pretty rough as we want it to be in chunks. So I'd say about this length and about this big of pieces is good. You don't have to like make them precise cubes or anything. I'm just gonna give them a rough chop. Kind of like that. We want big chunks of tomato in our chili. Give it a nice tomato flavor. We want little pockets of liquid yumminess. Grab a bowl. In hindsight, this is probably not big enough. That's fine. We'll do this for the rest of our tomatoes. And with that, we're done with the cutting board. We can move on to preparing the ground beef. So now we're going to start the process of preparing our ground beef. I'm going to put this on, turn on our induction. We're going to put it at like a medium heat. So about, on this induction, probably about 340. Probably a medium heat on a regular stove. We're just going to wait for this to heat up a little bit. I forgot to mention this earlier, but we do need a tiny amount of oil, not too much oil. I'm using vegetable oil. We just want a neutral flavor one, because we need to brown the onions first. So I'm going to put some oil in the pan, And once this starts shimmering, you can see the oil becomes like a little more liquidy. That's when we can add the onions in. Move the oil around the pan a little bit, make sure it's all spread out. And we can add our onions. You want to hear that nice sizzle when you put them in. We're gonna brown this for a little bit. Get some of the liquid out before we add our ground beef. In the meantime, I'm gonna open this can of tomato paste so it's ready for when we need it. I'm just gonna turn this down a little bit. Does can opener not work on this?
Huh?
Does can opener not work on this?
It does.
You sure?
You have to hold it.
I'm creating a problem. Here, you can handle it.
Can opener.
All right, the onions are getting some nice color. We're having some technical difficulties with this tiny can of tomato paste. It's not cooperating with us, but you know, that's just the life of a home cook, right? So now that these onions are browned a bit, I'm gonna add our ground beef to the mix, and I'm gonna get this a bit more broken up than this giant cylinder we have going on. I'm gonna get it properly mixed up with the onion once we do. We're already getting some browning on this ground beef, which is nice. In an ideal world, your ground beef is already kind of broken up, and you can just kind of let it sit here. But this also works. I'm also going to turn this down a little bit more so we don't brown nearly as quickly as we have been. As we don't want the ground beef to cook all the way through yet. We just want some color on it. We try to get it mixed with the onions. And now that I think it's properly broken up, we can let it sit for a few minutes. We just want it to be browned all the way through. So if you see like this piece right here, we want this color on the outside of all of it, but we don't want the ground beef cooked through. We'll cover this for a minute. Put the lid down here. Oh, you have it. Cool. I'm gonna clean this up real quick. Once you get a little more browning on it, you can see it's slowly cooking through. This is the point where I'm gonna add our garlic. And I'm gonna add about half this can of tomato paste. About that much tomato paste. It's gonna seem like a lot, but we're making a massive portion of this. So once this tomato paste is cooked through, we lose like the raw flavor it has. Then we'll be done with this process, and we'll move on to the slow cooker. So make sure it's mixed up nice and properly. Get everything incorporated. I'm gonna cover it for another like 30 seconds or so, and after this it'll be done. Ready for the slow cooker. Alright, so now that I think this is ready, I'm gonna turn this off, and we're gonna drain all the excess fat from the meat, because we do not want that in the chili. So I'm just gonna pour it into a separate container real quick. I'm gonna use the lid to help me with this. So all this liquid, we don't want this in our chili, because it's gonna just fatten up. Let's get as much of it as we can. All right, now this is ready for our slow cooker. So I've learned from my past mistakes. I've pre-opened the next cans, but for our kidney beans, we actually need to drain the liquid in here and wash them off real quick. So if you see here, I've only partially opened the lid. I'm going to drain the liquid out of both of these cans real quick. So you can do both at the same time. Make sure it's not too far open, or else you're just going to lose some beans. You don't want to lose your beans. And then you can pour water into this and then shake it up a little bit. You don't need to do this too much, just a little bit. Just get some of the excess liquid out of there. So just a little bit of water in here. Close the lid like this. Shake it up a little bit. And you can open it back up a little bit and pour the water out. Now our beans have been cleaned. Be careful when you're using your cans, because I might have accidentally cut myself a little bit, but we got ourselves patched up. So now, let's start adding our ingredients to the mix. So first off, our ground beef mixture is going to go at the bottom. Next up, we're going to add our beans. Just add both of them right in. This might seem a lot, but you'll see. Next up, we're going to add our cans of tomato sauce. The order isn't too important after the ground beef. I technically should have added these first, but in the end it doesn't matter too much. So we're gonna add the tomatoes. And now we're gonna just cover it with chicken broth as much as we can for it to be this fully covered. Just pour it in. Once we start seeing it go above these tomatoes here, we'll mix this up a little bit. There we go. That'll be enough for that. And now let's add our seasoning. So for chili powder, for about this serving size, we're going to use about 1 tablespoon. One of these bad boys. I'm just going to do it this way. It's a rough measurement. And if this is under seasoned later, we can always add more at the end. For salt and pepper, I'm just going to do it to taste. I'm just going to do about that much. I'm going to do the same with the salt. It's probably good enough. Mix this up one more time. Make sure that it's all incorporated. It smells very chili-like, doesn't it? You guys wouldn't know. And now that that's done, I'm gonna cover it. And we're gonna put it on low. Now this is gonna sit for about 4 hours. You can let it sit for like 4 to 6 hours. If you cook it on high, it would be like 2 to 3 hours in that case. But we're gonna have this for dinner. So we're gonna wait for that to be done cooking and we'll come back to you guys. All right, so it's been about 4 hours. About 30 minutes ago, I saw it was still a little liquidy, so I made a little cornstarch slurry with some extra chicken broth and some cornstarch and mixed it in. And we can look at how it is now. I also stirred it up a few times just to check on it here and there, and it's turning out pretty good. Let's taste it and see if we need to add any extra spices. There's a good chance we do. Yeah, it could use some more chili powder and probably some more pepper. I might also add some extra salt. So I'm just gonna eyeball it a little bit, put like, that much in. Add some more pepper. And add some more salt. That was a lot of salt. That'll be fine. I didn't add very much in the first place, and this is a lot of chili. So make sure this is all mixed up. And let's try it again. Oh, that's more like a chili. That's way better. So now that this is properly seasoned, and it's sat here for about 4 hours, this chili is done. So now we're gonna dish it out and have my father taste test. So father, this is my homemade chili.
Picked a good day to make homemade chili, I'll tell you that, with the temperature of 0 and wind chills to -20. Chili tonight, hot tamale. No, I'm just kidding. How did you make this?
In a slow cooker.
Okay. Can I try it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually really do like chili. That's really good chili. It's really warm.
Well, it's been in a slow cooker for the past 4 hours.
That's really, really good chili, Andy. You did a nice job on this.
So there you have it. It has the Steve seal of approval.
It does. It does. This is really, really good chili. Now, let me finish it, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks for watching. Remember, keep watching and we'll come back with more at some point.
Thanks, Andy. Good chili.